Hubnut, sponsored by Lancaster. In August 1999, I bought this Daewoo Matiz brand new. I then sold it again 18 months later. So this is just a bit of chat about how I found it again, because a number of people have asked, and I'm not sure I actually told you sufficiently in videos I've done on this car previously. There are some collection capers attached to this car. In fact, I collected it twice. It's a bit bizarre. I ended up buying two cars in one day, all very complicated, but go and seek out the double collection caper video. I'll try and link to it up at the top here. But yeah, after 18 months, typical me, I got fed up and I sold this car. I traded it in for a Subaru Impreza Sport, which must rank as one of the stupidest things I've ever done. I apologise for the wind noise. I haven't got my microphone with me, as ever. Not very much planning. That's the Hubnut way. So yeah, I traded it in for a Subaru Impreza. The Impreza was up for what I'd paid for this car, ignoring all the finance, which is the problem. I did pretty much ignore all the finance. So this was 6495, and then 18 months later I traded it in for a Subaru Impreza at 6495, and of course would have got about 3 grand for this. So it represents a huge loss of money for me. And I noticed it was still taxed online. Thanks to the government checker, you can check the details of vehicles you've sold, and who hasn't spent many an evening on that website checking the registration numbers of formerly owned vehicles. I certainly have lost far too much time doing that, and most of them are scrapped because I tend to buy cars that are a little, how shall I say this, end of life, and this car was no exception. And yeah, so I was quite surprised, you know, about 18 years on, to find this car was still on the road. And I put a plea on the Autoshite forum, or the forum with a slightly sweary name. I should have warned you about that, sorry. Where I just put a post saying, I've noticed this car is still on the road. If anyone spots it, let me know. And a few years down the line, I'd forgotten about that. The current owner had owned it. It was a chap from Poland, was using it as a daily runner. And he just happened to Google in the reg number for whatever reason. I occasionally do it myself just to see if anything comes up, previous history. Saw the post, traced me through Facebook, and sent me a message and said, I've got your old Matiz, and it's quite easy to prove it's mine. We'll go and have a look. It is still quite windy. I apologise for that. Very glad of my Hubnut hat. The proof is this little mark right here. And that mark was made by my friend Andy. She was fighting with my mate Dom over who was going to go shotgun in the old Matiz outside a pub in Solihull. And the end result was the door got smacked into her face because they were both a bit drunk and yeah, not quite paying attention. She actually chipped the corner off her front tooth, and took some time to get that sorted out. So I'm not going to apologise, Andy. It was your own fault. You shouldn't have been fighting with Dom. But yeah, that's the story of how the Matiz came to be. And I mean, I'm particularly pleased that I was able to track it down again, because you know, it is one of my favourite cars, I think, of all those I've owned. I just love the Giugiaro styling. It was originally meant to be a Fiat 500 design. Giugiaro sort of pitched it at Fiat and said, what do you make of this? And Fiat, being idiots, said, no, we've got a better idea. We're going to make the Seicento. Apologies to all Seicento fans, but it does look like a Cinquecento that's melted. But Daewoo was a company very much on the rise. They'd hit our shores with the Nexia and Espero, which were thinly disguised Vauxhalls. The Nexia was an Astra, very thinly disguised, and the Espero was a more successful cover-up. That was Bertone, very clear Bertone styling applied to the Vauxhall Cavalier platform, and you wouldn't tell just by looking. And that's how they got their foothold in the Western markets. And then they set up factories over here as well. So by the time they were making the Matiz, they were making the Nexia. I forget what it's called. It was something else. But in Romania they had a factory. They had one in Poland as well. But this is a Korean-built example. I don't think they made the right-hand drive examples anywhere else. Well, I say that, I think Taiwan and other places also had factories. This was a global car. for Daewoo, but it was also the first really serious car to be sold in Western Europe that was pretty much all new. The underpinnings, you know, there's a bit of Suzuki heritage there. The Daewoo Tico was also made in Poland and Romania, I believe. Was the predecessor. We didn't get that here, and that really was just a Suzuki Alto with a different badge on it. The Matiz, they you know, worked with Giugiaro to get a car that looks completely different. The engine was reworked by Tickford in the UK, and so that's a bit more grunty. I mean, 50 brake horse from 796 was fairly impressive for the late 90s. Bearing in mind our Perodua Nipper has a larger engine and produces less power. There will be a proper head-to-head with that pair at some point. But I just love the styling. I love the rear lights. I even love the simple wheel trims. I deliberately went for the SE model, not the SE Plus, because I just prefer the simplicity. The SE Plus had a rear spoiler and some rather fussy little three-spoke alloys. Not really my cup of tea at all. But yeah, let's have a peek inside, because we probably haven't had a peek inside for a while. Got fantastic, could only be the 1990s seat upholstery. It was a colourful time for seats, and the passenger one's probably a slightly better example, because that one's a bit cleaner. But yeah, I mean, a very simple, very stylish design. Obviously that's not entirely factory. There should be a headlamp adjuster switch there, and there isn't. But yeah, it's surprisingly comfortable. The only problem I find, nowhere for your clutch foot to go, which is a similar problem I have on the Skoda, to be honest. Don't get that problem in the Nipper. I'll save that one for the head-to-head. But I mean, I used to drive this around. I'd have 3 friends in the back. It's manual locking, I've just reminded myself. Didn't get central locking on the SE. You have to have the SE Plus. And there's not a bad amount of leg room, really, for a little car. Got remote boot release, remote fuel flap, of course. But otherwise, a bit low on the toy count. And it's still got the Sony rear speakers that I fitted myself. I just hacked into the shelf and fitted them, and all the wiring was already there, so that was quite good. But yeah, mostly what I love about this car is the styling. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Represents one of the better efforts, I reckon, in the small car class. And I'm struggling a bit with the winter sun. It's actually midday at the moment, but the sun is oh so low, but it's oh so pretty here in paradise today. I've just come up to the Havod car park just to have a bit of a chat with you about how the Matiz came to be. And future plans for the Matiz, it's hard to say really. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I've got the car back, but do I need the car? No, not really. It's kind of one of my sort of, you know, regular dailies with the 2CV and the Skoda. And then you've got Tuk and the Fox coming as well. And Mrs. Hubnut uses the Nipper. So slight case of too many vehicles really, so it's very hard to justify having this car. But yeah, how many cars do you have a personal story with? A car that you've owned before, years ago. This year, 2019, it's our 20th anniversary, so we may have had some time off in the middle, but it's okay, we're back together and we're very happy. And yeah, we'll perhaps do some more celebrations as we get closer to August. But the future after that is very hard to say. I can't imagine any car museums would want this little car. Yeah, it'd be a shame to retire her. She's done 90,000 miles, so I think my challenge has to be to get her to 100,000 miles, which should easily be possible. That might take a couple of years though, because my fleet cars tend to average about 5,000 miles a year each. Apart from Tuk only did 1,500, but you can probably understand that. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Anyway, there you go. That was just a bit more background about the Matiz, and I'm very glad I got sunglasses on because this sunlight is absolutely blinding. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. Don't forget the Hubnut store for goodies, including these lovely warm hats. And I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.